What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Living in Arizona, and today I'm going to be providing some tips about buying a home in Arizona because after the last video that I made where I walked around the neighborhood showing the development and the building, people are more interested in buying homes, or at least people who were interested in buying homes are asking some questions and they want to know some stuff. So I'm just going to share my own personal experience, and I'm also going to share some tips from some credible resources that, just things to know, tips to keep in mind about buying a home in Arizona, in particular in Phoenix. So, I bought a house here recently, and some of the challenges that I would say right off the top in buying a new house. So, this is just a new house. I'll talk about buying a pre existing house after that. But if you're going to buy a new house, some of the things that I would like to consider. Number one is, are they going to install the appliances? You're going to want to ask this. Are they going to have the refrigerator, the washer, dryer included? If not, can you ask them to get that included? Because if you have to buy that on your own, how much is the refrigerator from Home Depot? How much is ceiling fans? How much is blinds? All that stuff can add up. And you already have to keep in mind another thing that's going to come up is closing cost. So that closing costs are on top of any down payment you'd have to put onto a loan. So you need to find out all this information, or at least be prepared for this. Also, when you initially go into buying a home, you're going to want to know how much you're pre-approved for. So you're going to contact a real estate or a broker, not a real estate agent. You could contact the agent and then say, hey, do you have a broker that handles loans that I could talk to, and they'll refer you to their person, and then they'll know how much you get pre-approved for, and then they'll send them back over to you, right? So you want to know how much you're going to get pre-approved for, but once you get pre-approval, you're going to try to get it all, all your expenses, your washer, dryer, your ceiling fan, your garage door opener, all that stuff kind of included in your loan. And even if you get lucky, you could even possibly get a pool included in that loan if you finagle it right. I'm not a broker, I'm not a banker, so I don't know the exact way you can do that, but I've heard that you can do that. And that can save you money. For example, building a backyard, because when you move into these new homes, they're completely flat, right? Like they slope away from your house because that's how the drainage works, but it's a really just an empty lot, empty backyard. You'll move in your house and start moving in, and then after about 2 weeks of looking at that, you're like, I better get started on something in my backyard. So you might go plant a palm tree. And then you're like, okay, that palm tree needs friends. So you buy some more trees. And that kind of stuff just starts adding up, especially as you're like, well, now I want a barbecue. But I don't want to just put a barbecue on some dirt, so I'll put some concrete down. Now, let's talk about the design of the backyard. As a matter of fact, if you guys would like, I've been tracking the development of my backyard. I can actually put together the sequence of how my backyard all came together, so you guys can at least get a visual of what the process looks like. I can do that for you guys in a video if you guys want. If you guys don't want, I mean, just drop a comment below, ask me if you guys want, saying you want me to do that, and I can do that. I don't have any plans to do it right now because I don't, but I have been filming it, and I've got a whole archive of the development from when it was completely a clear lot to where it's at now and beyond. But the big thing with that, I would say, when you start developing your backyard, start putting in your irrigation lines and your electrical lines in first, because you don't want to lay concrete and then have to jackhammer the concrete up because you need a water line or a electrical line to go through that. So once you've thought about how you're going to lay the electric and the irrigation, then you bring in the concrete. If you bring in the concrete first, you can also put conduits. If you don't know what a conduit is, it's an area of plastic or just basically a pipe where you can run the line through that, whether it be an electrical line or a smaller irrigation pipe for a drip system or something like this. Those are some things to consider. Also, being that it's now 2019 coming into 2020, smart homes are a really big thing. That's another thing. I can make a video showing you how I've set up my smart home. Watch this. Hey Google, can you turn on my rock lamp?
You got it. Turning on the rock light.
Let's see. Oh, that didn't. Did that turn on? It was supposed to turn that on. Hey Google, can you turn on my desk lamp?
Okay, turning the desk light on.
Well, that one did turn on. Hey Google, can you turn my desk lamp pink? Okay. Well, anyway, it's still a developing technology, but the smart home thing is real. That's just an example of something that I can show you. Hey Google, can you turn off my office lights?
Okay, turning
I don't know if you guys could see how the room dimmed right there, but it's daytime obviously. But I'm just showing you guys some of the smart home technologies that you guys can implement. But that's just basically my office here of stuff, you know, the lights and whatnot. But they've got smart thermostat, smart garage door opener. So ask them what kind of smart integration they have. What is it? Do they have the Ring doorbell, or are you going to have to do that aftermarket? You know, stuff like this is actually relevant to the era that we're living in. The Ring doorbell came with my house. The thermostat, the smart thermostat came with the house, and so did two smart lights, one for the front and one for the back. I found that to be pretty cool, but because I had never dealt with a smart home before, I didn't know that there could have been a smart garage door opener. I would have preferred that now that I know what that's like, because I can communicate with that at any given point from wherever I'm at. But I like saying to the device, I'm not going to ask it right now because it'll think I'm talking to it, but you know, I could turn on my thermostat while I'm in my room, right? I can do it from my phone, but just having that voice command is something that's pretty cool. And that can go towards outdoor lighting, indoor lighting, like my whole kitchen setup. I can show you guys all this stuff too. But back on track here. So the smart home thing and planning out your backyard are really important for buying a brand new home in Arizona. Some things to consider. Also, you're gonna want to hire the right agent. You know, you want an agent that's gonna be able to know the information about the area that you're moving to. If you get someone who's new to the area, they don't understand the valley. You know, you could be saying, hey, I need a school where when my kids go to high school, that they're going to be, you know, recruited for football or something like this, whatever it is. Or I need a school where the kids aren't going to pick on my kids because of this, this, and this. I need to be close to a Montessori. You know, someone who's well versed in the area is going to be able to answer those questions for you. Whereas if you got someone who's new to the area, just got a real estate license in Arizona, ready to go, they might be scratching their head, kind of giving you. You know, they might do a little research online, and they might not have that information that you need that a local would have. So having a local real estate agent can be beneficial to buying things in Arizona, depending upon your question. I mean, the question, who knows what your question could be, right? But so just try to stick within your budget is basically what I'm saying when it comes to your loan qualification. Know what kind of aftermarket costs, developing the yard. Are you going to have to come out of pocket with that? Appliances, smart home stuff. HOA. Let's talk about the HOA. This is my first time actually dealing with an HOA. I can make a video more in detail talking about the HOA, but from my experience, the HOA is a pain in the rear end because, you know, you find out that basically you pay them to tell you what to do. It's like, wow. So I pay them to tell me what to do. I mean, they're always trying to find a reason why they don't need to manicure or maintain the community, right? Like they're always kind of making an excuse for it, but they're like, oh, we street sweep. We street sweep. Thanks guys for street sweeping, okay? So we're paying you all this money to street sweep. That's it? What else are you guys going to do besides tell us that we can't get approved to build something? For example, in my backyard, I built a pergola. They call it a ramada, you know. I built one of those, and it had all these stipulations. I could not build what I wanted. It had to be open roof, slatted, open sides, and it had to match the color of the house, and it came with stipulations. But I got approved. It couldn't be over 10 feet, and it took about 2 months for them to finally approve it. So they denied it twice, and then they finally approved it. I found that to be a pain in the butt. And, you know, trying to get through to them, I was basically like, tell you what, you tell me what I can build that it's Arizona. I'm going to need shade in my backyard. You tell me what I can build and I'll build it. I was like, why didn't you just tell me that in the beginning? And so instead they gave me 2 denials. What else did they deny me for? They denied me for a patio. I found that to be inconvenient. I had to submit a request to get sunshades put on my house. I mean, I live in Arizona. I got a request to get sunshades on my house. This just petty stuff like this. When you plant a tree, it can't be over the wall. you know, and before you plant it. So you can't buy like a big tree. You have to wait for it to grow up. And so I've talked to my neighbors about this, and they all seem to have the same complaint that HOAs are just more of a pain in the butt than what they're really worth. But I guess the HOA is in place because you get neighbors who want to be oddballs and paint their house pink and do all these crazy things and leave their garage door kind of tilted and slanted. And if the HOA is not there to keep them in line, then you got to deal with people who are doing crazy things in your neighborhood. That's basically what I've been told. So, I mean, like I said, I can make a longer video about the HOA process. But also, you're going to want to compare mortgage rates. Definitely, you're going to need that pre-approval letter. You're going to need to have all your finances in order. Check your credit, this and that. That's a whole thing. I'm not trying to make a big, long list for you. It sounds like I'm kind of trying to add things to the list. But yeah, you want to make sure your credit's good. You want to make sure that you've pretty much come out of debt, or at least if you have a lot of debt, that you make a lot of money on your last 2 years of W-2s. When you're going around to the open houses and whatnot, you know, ask the pertinent questions. The reason I ended up going with a new build opposed to like a house that was built in 2003 was because when I was going around to those houses, like I said, my brother's a real estate agent. He was telling me all this stuff that I should keep in mind, like the pool. It had a crack in it. He said, yeah, you know, this house has a pool, but there's a crack in it. That's going to be expensive to repair that crack. You know, you've got to drain the pool. You've got to do all this and that to repair the crack, and there could be a foundation problem with it. So, but then you'd have the crack in the pool, then you'd be looking at the roof, and you'd see there was a crack up there and some chipped paint, and it looked like it was weathered, and it needed to be replaced, and it could cost $2,000 to $3,000 to replace it. So it was just like, well, at least with a brand new house, I can design a brand new yard and get everything brand new. And I found that to be convenient. But if you get an older home, you know, you might have to do a little fixer-upper stuff, right? But please, the closing costs, keep that in mind. I mean, that could be 5% of your loan. So if you got a $235,000 loan, what's 5% of that? That's over $10,000. That can be a pain in the butt. I'm not saying it's going to necessarily be 5%, but it could also be 2%. But also, is the housing market strong now, and is it going to stay strong? Just because the housing market is strong now doesn't mean that it's always going to stay strong, right? So that's another thing. Know what comes up on the home inspection. When they do an inspection of the home, know what's the deficiency on it. If it's new home, old home, this and that. Also, ask try to get some freebies off the person if it's a brand new home or anything like. But if it's a brand new home, say, hey, tell you what, I'll buy the house if you throw in ceiling fans. I'll buy the house if you throw in shutters. They might say, oh no, we can't do that, sorry. Or you might be like, well, then I'm not buying. And then they'll say, well, let me talk to my boss and see what happens. You for sure you're going to buy it if we throw in the fridge? You know, stuff like that. But one thing that I also wanted to put out there, even though it's towards the end of the video, I wanted to say it early on. Consider this. Let's just say it's a brand new community, and that builder is halfway through that community. Find out if they've got another brand new community that they're getting to launch, because sometimes they'll give special deals for the people who get in there first. So if you're able to get in the community first, because it's more attractive to sell homes in a community that's already got homes on it than selling a bare bones community that's just one big dirt track with 3 houses. So sometimes they might give the first 10 buyers a special deal. I'm not saying they always do that, but that's a way to get some traction. They give a little bit of an incentive for being the first ones to the lot, first ones to the community. Something to consider, so ask them when you're going to these open houses at these new home lots, hey, do you guys have any new projects that are launching in the next year or something? And they'll say, yeah. And then just say, is there any incentive to picking that and waiting a little bit, or is there no incentive and should I just buy now right here? She might give you the answer, or he might give you that answer. So anyways, guys, thanks to everyone who's been liking these videos and subscribing to Living in Arizona. Let me know, do you want the smart home video? Do you want the development of the backyard video? I can do that. And also let me know if you want me to do an HOA video and any other videos. Ask some questions below, and we'll see you guys next time.